pretty much eye level. I mean, there's 6 feet there, but maybe 10 feet at 3 miles. But it's pretty close to line of sight, right?
Yeah, it's the reason that it's at your eye level is because it's an optical convergence. It's not a physical place.
So why is that mountain that's 5,000 feet? Why is that mountain that's 5,000 feet taller than I am on the horizon at eye level?
For the same reason you can look at your friend 100 yards away and squish his head between your fingers.
And why do I have to look down in a plane when I look to the horizon?
That guy just said it was at eye level.
No, on a plane. If I'm on an aircraft and I want to look to the horizon, I have to look down to the horizon.
That's not true.
Why is that? Yeah, it is true. I can give you a measurement.
It's at roughly the same place no matter where you are in elevation.
Nope.
No, it's not.
You sure about that?
100%.
I mean, I would expect the horizon at altitude to appear to drop because of I would expect that, for sure, on a flat Earth.
On a flat Earth because of what?
Oh, because of the atmosphere, yeah. I'd expect that.
Okay. Magic, okay.
Oh, yeah, just because of visibility, the light, the things that we're seeing, the horizon has to be lit up, but that's all on the ground, where like the sun, like kind of, or whatever light is going on, it's only lighting up something that is, physical. So.
Understand something on an airplane. If you look at the artificial horizon, it's pretty much at zero angle. No matter how much you go up, if you don't pitch up or pitch down, you're gonna have a zero angle.
No one was talking about artificial horizon. We were talking about looking out of the window to the real horizon.
Well, that's the thing that is trying to make a real horizon. It's the artificial horizon.
The artificial horizon has nothing to do with the horizon of the Earth.
Dude,
the artificial horizon just shows you if you are in level flight or if you are tilted to one or the other side.
Respect your body axis. Now, if you respect the Earth axis, you can just measure that. And if you look that up, you're going to see that it will always be level. If you would be level with your body angle or your body axis, and if your body axis is aligned with your, hold on, it is actually it is, because this is the reason that they put this screen in front of the pilot, so the pilot can actually knows what the hell is happening out there. So it is called an artificial horizon, but it doesn't mean that it's not great. Hold on. It doesn't mean that it's not.
No, you're telling wrong stuff. You're saying wrong things. All the artificial horizon is to indicate if your airplane is rolling left or right. It has nothing to do with where the horizon is in your line of sight out in the distance.
What are you talking about, bro? You're just messing up the whole navigation system, basically. This is how your autopilot.
No, I'm a pilot. I can tell you about it.
No, I'm an aerospace engineer. Actually, I design autopilot. I design your task.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, you just telling off on yourself there, but
I'm telling you that, right? Okay. So the artificial horizon doesn't mean that it's not accurate. It's pretty much accurate. It's the one that your autopilot would always use to lever your aircraft. So you think that your
autopilot is using the artificial horizon? Are you sure about that?
Yes, bro.
Man, I don't know, dude. You're saying some wrong stuff. If you're an aerospace engineer, I might be a medical doctor too. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the autopilot is a small dwarf or so sitting there looking to the artificial horizon and steering the airplane or what? You're just talking shit.
We can steer a whole airplane using these artificial horizon. This is actually how the
artificial horizon is an instrument that is typically artificial horizon is an instrument that is typically nowadays in modern airplanes just a screen where you see the position of the aircraft in flight. So you see if the artificial horizon is above your center, you see your nose tipping down. If it's below your center, your nose tipping up. If it's tilted to the left, it says you are tilted to the right. That's what the artificial horizon it has nothing to do with elevation.
Talking about this is what your gyroscope is doing. Your gyroscope will tell you where is your artificial. What are you talking about, bro?
Hey, aerospace engineer, are there gyroscopes in modern aircraft?
screen, basically that screen, those things that you see on the screen, those are calculated by the sensors. So your sensors, your gyroscope, your accelerometers, your GPS, your compass, everything on autopilot is getting those data. It's analyzing it, and it will and it will create that screen for the pilot. So basically, that screen, those things that the pilot is seeing on the screen, those things are derived directly from the sensors, like the gyro and the rest of the things that I told you. So it is actually a very accurate thing. It's not just a fucking, a child brain thing that they can just, no, it's pretty accurate.
Okay.
It doesn't have anything. The point is,
how many gyroscopes do they have in modern airplanes?
Bro, just don't jump around. I'm just giving
No. Just tell me. You just said something about gyroscopes and autopilot. How many gyroscopes are there in a modern aircraft?
You need one for a very small aircraft. You can use one, and that's the purpose of this gyro. Is to just tell you that what is your attitude angles? The attitude angles are measured by your gyro. So once he knows them, once you're first, what are you going to do? You're going to level. You're going to calibrate your gyro when you're on the ground, and when you go up there in the flight, you're going to see that you're just moving around, you're just tilting left, right, rolling, flipping everything. And your gyro will measure those movements, and it will give to the computer, and the computer will generate that screen for the pilot, so the pilot can see that actually what has happened. So the artificial horizon.
Wait a second. Let me just respond to that. Let me just briefly respond to that.
It's supposedly, it has to be, though this is the thing, it might be a little bit different, but supposedly the artificial horizon, it is the actual horizon. Okay, now you can go with another conversation that, the instruments have some errors, it's not that. You can get into that, but I'm telling you the purpose of it, like in how much it's precise. To let the autopilot, not only the autopilot, all the pilot, they can use this. Okay, just please stop.
Okay, Kasra, just to enlighten you about what has happened in the last 20 years or so in aerospace engineering, because maybe you fell asleep or so. First, you not need only one gyro. You need at least 3 gyroscopes to have a rigidity in space. Because otherwise it would tilt around another axis. One gyroscope wouldn't help you. Nowadays, in modern aircraft, you don't have gyroscopes anymore. You have ring laser gyroscopes. And from these, you have multiples there, and they are calculating where they are based on the rotation of the Earth.
Bro. All the
Can you
gyros,
say it without the condescension in your voice?
Yeah, bro.
The MEMS gyro that you have on your phone is a 3D axis gyro. So when I'm saying gyro, I'm referring to a 3-axis gyro. Of course, you would need 3 measurement for 3 axis, but basically all these gyros that you see around in market, in your phone, in the autopilots, they are basically 3-axis gyroscopes. And about the second thing that you said, the ring gyro, laser ring gyro, well, yeah, you can refer to that, but it doesn't change the fact that the artificial horizon, it is been calculated and it's been illustrated from the autopilot and from the sensors. And those sensors are actually is giving you the accurate data, the most accurate data that you can have, basically. It's more accurate than the pilot eye or pilot senses. So, yeah. So when you're in a level flight, what you see your artificial horizon is straight, you're at your 0 angle, and even when the pilot looks out from the cockpit, he can see almost the horizon. It's at his eye level. It's at his eye line of sight.
No, you can't. It's about at 40,000 feet. It's about 3 degrees below your line of sight.
That might be because of hold on. There's some other criteria, some other factors, atmospheric conditions, a lot of others, reflection. You can refer to them, but basically, 3 degrees for 40,000 feet. It's not related to your Earth geometry, because on you guys have a given geometry for your Earth. It has 6,000 kilometers radius, right? So you can know basically how much you go up there, your horizon should have dropped. And if you look in this number that you've given to us right now, this 3 degrees per 40,000 feet, this is not aligned, or it's not conformed.
Oh, it does align perfect. It aligns perfectly. I can show you the math if you would like to see it.
Oh, really? So what about Neil deGrasse Tyson, who said that even in 3,000?
That's a fallacy. That's a Neil deGrasse Tyson fallacy.
Okay, fuck that guy. Let's now listen to this one. We have a new footage from a very high altitude balloon. It was taken think it was 1 month ago. It was 140,000 feet. And it's completely real. You can just download the whole video on their channel. I don't have it right now, and I'm not, because it's on my home PC. Anyway, if you look at these videos, you can see almost the horizon. It's at the 0 angle. Now, if you look at the airplane OCD or that artificial horizon, when the airplane exceeds level of flight, it's in a cruise altitude. If you look at that screen, it's exactly at 0. Okay, it's exactly at 0. So you don't have any drop for your horizon at all. This means that the Earth cannot be concave. It cannot be convex. It has to be straight. That's it.
The horizon is a flat circle around you, but I mean, left lane, when you're flying level flight, you're going perpendicular from plumb, which is also horizontal. So, I mean, it should be case closed, bro.
Shit, I
Yeah,
grabbed
even
that
the
screenshot with that showing the horizon, and I grabbed the wrong image. But yeah, there are images with the heads-up display with the plane flying straight and level that shows the horizon well below the artificial horizon, right on the heads-up display. So that just debunks what you're talking about.
Straight.
even
You said
the
straight. Left lane. You said straight and level. Like that's the. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, yeah.
I just posted a picture where I measured the horizon being 2 degrees.
Yeah, even the pitch data shows the recent pitch data that's come out recently shows that it maintains straight and level flight, not conforming to a curve. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't refer to curved Earth. That just refers to not gaining or losing altitude and flying in a constant heading. That's all it means.
But are you denying that when you fly level flight that you're flying perpendicular from plumb? Because that's what level is, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say they go, and that perpendicular is going right along with you, right?
Yeah, but perpendicular from plumb is also horizontal, though. You see, that's why you can't say you even knew this was wrong when you first heard it. Obviously, they can't be the same thing on a globe. You know that's not right, dude.
Yeah, but I wouldn't refer to anything about horizontal in plane flight. I don't know.
Yeah, but if level and horizontal are the same thing, perpendicular from plumb, there we are. You're flying horizontal. Unless level and horizontal are not the same thing and they're not both perpendicular from plumb.
But basically, what you're saying, it's not right. Because if you
Go
say
against your own people on this left lane. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that he's saying that 3 degrees per 40,000 feet. Is that right? So it means that 3 degrees per 10 kilometers, right? So if you just do the math, for example, you have ISS. What is the altitude of ISS? It's 400 kilometers, right? Now, now we have the image or the video of the Earth from ISS, right? We have seen it many times, right? You can go on YouTube and see the live feed, and you can see basically the curvature, right? You can see a big portion of the Earth. Now, basically, he's saying right now, 10 kilometers, every 10 kilometers, we have 3 degrees drop of horizon. Now, how much you would need to multiply this to get the ISS altitude? 40 times. That would, the altitude
linear.
so if you just multiply 3 degrees by 40 times, it will be 100.
It's not linear. You cannot just
Bro,
multiply
even
it.
it's not okay, it will be even worse. So I'm trying to say that it doesn't make sense. You see, the ratio doesn't make sense. The different footage that we see from ISS, from shuttle, I don't know, from different, these crafts. When you just do this math, and with this thing that this dude is talking right now, 3 degrees per 40,000 feet, but these numbers, they don't match. That's it. And we're tired of this. I'm personally tired. It's really hurting, because it really hurts the mind because you have to do the calculation, and at the end of the time, you say, oh, what the fuck? It doesn't make sense. What the fuck are these people talking about? 40,000 feet, 3 degrees, are you sure? So if you're saying
40,000 feet.
40,000 feet. So a commercial airplane is 3,000 feet, right? So it's like the commercial airplane. So that would be 10 kilometers. ISS is
It sounds sounds like you're just doing wrong math and then getting mad at the wrong math that you did. I don't think Leflane is claiming what you think he is.
He's saying 3 degrees drop of horizon per 4,000 feet. This is what he claimed. Okay.
40,000 feet.
In the context of an airplane, not in the context of the ISS, which is at a totally different altitude with totally different cameras and factors involved in the horizon or the image that it's going to see.
Well, the altitude are all respected our ground to sea level. What are you talking about? So when you're saying 40,000 feet, you're talking about 10 kilometers. I'm a fucking aerospace engineer, okay? So ISS is 400 kilometers.
No, you're not.
How much is higher?
I can tell bullshit when I hear one.
Can you understand it's 40 times higher? Can you understand ISS is 40 times higher than an airplane? Can you understand this simple fucking math?
I've got one question for you. I've got a question for you. We mentioned the three ring laser gyros. What is the instrument that houses those ring laser gyros? What do you call it?
The world brought that. It's different.
No, just straight up. What do you call it? What do you call it? You've got to know it if you're an aerospace engineer. Huh?
No, I'm just cooking, guys. I'm just cooking like over and over.
Oh, okay, so you don't know what the instrument's called.
We're talking about the line of sight, the horizon, like what you claimed that 3 degrees per 40,000 feet. And I've told you that ISS is 40 times higher than your airplane or that altitude you're talking about. But you don't get the thing that you're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Why do you claim to be an aerospace engineer when you're obviously not an aerospace engineer?
Well, it doesn't matter. You can ask your mom about it if you're really interested into it.
All right, we don't need the ad hocs.
Conversation, okay? Don't make me personal. You don't need to do that because when you do that, it means that you're losing the conversation. You should know that. That's a very bad sign. Don't attack the person in a flat conversation.
Can I attack your math, though?
It means that you don't have anything else to say.
Attack your math.
Hang on one second, Kazra.
Okay.
Hang on, guys, just moderating real quick. Listen, Kazra, if you claim to be an aerospace engineer and they question your credibility, that's not an ad hoc. You introduced your credibility to the topic, and if they're addressing your credibility, i.e., are you actually an aerospace engineer? That's not them ad homing you.
You think you're middle.
And of course, Jace, of course, you can address any of his arguments, and you can address his credentials if he claimed them. Of course. Why would you guys not be able to address that?
Yeah, like I claim to be a molecular biologist, biochemist. You can question me about that all day. I'd be happy to answer questions. But I would, his math, right? Like the other gentleman was trying to explain it before. It's not just a linear thing where you can just multiply from the aerospace or the airplane context to the ISS context, right? It's not just a simple linear relationship like that within the math, strictly.
Okay, I'm sorry about what you said. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
All
morning.
you guys need to know is level and horizontal are the same thing. They're both perpendicular from plumb. If anyone has any disputes with that, I can send you to a few people to debate it with all day. No one doubts it. Cool. I don't know what we're even debating here, guys.
Right.
Levels horizontal. Let's go.
I'm in here to debate that it's a beautiful day to praise the Lord. And that's about it.
Oh, yeah, anyone's got a debate about it.
Well, like every globe Earth forever. So, Leflin, were you saying that the artificial horizon is for roll and not pitch? Is that your affirmation?
No, it gives you a pitch angle too. You've got gradients on there for measuring your pitch angle, and with respect to the artificial horizon, that is an indication of roll as well.
It seemed like the other guy was saying, well, it's for pitch and roll, and I'm assuming then the other side was like, no, it's just for roll.
You have the gyro for pitch, roll, and yaw. Together, this aerospace engineer guy should know this. Together, it's called an ADIRU or an ADIRS system. That's the name of the whole component.
Attitude control system. Yes. Roll, pitch, yaw. Exactly. PQR. These are the symbols in math. If you want to look in Anderson book, flight dynamics control. Actually I did a lot of autopilot design back in time, in a way. But I believe the Earth is flat. Sid.
How long were you an aerospace engineer for?
Well, let me just tell you this one. For 10 years, actually, I have my own business. I'm not doing aerospace anymore because I'm doing very well with my own. I'm a wealthy guy. I'm a dad.
How long were you an aerospace engineer for?
Well, let me just tell you this one. For 10 years, actually, I have my own business. I'm not doing aerospace anymore because I'm doing very well with my own. I'm a wealthy guy. My dad was a rich guy. I never need to study science for money the way that all the people are doing right.
Cash at me 50 G's real quick.
So basically,
unless you're going to send it.
No, I'm just saying that
Anyways,
if you look into all the navigation books.
What's your overall point, man? Airplanes fly exactly how I expect them to on a globe. Like there's no discrepancy that I found with how an airplane flies, be it in the physics or just the strict math. So what is your issue?
Okay. So you're basically, if you look at the navigation and guidance control system books, we have a lot of school books. And if you just open up the chapters and do one thing for me, trying to find the omega of Earth, which is about 7 × 5 radian per second. Find this number. Where we add this number? Hold on. Where would you add this spin of the Earth within the navigation system? Okay. Find that equation and bring it to me. Or you can just find an autopilot algorithm code, anything that they have added the Earth spin inside it. You know what I'm trying to say? We do not account the Earth spin because we assume that the atmosphere is rigid, is pretty much rigid. It's attached to the Earth and is moving with Earth rigid. So that's the presumption.
I
that we
actually
have
got the math for you if you want to. I'm going to put it in the chat for you now.
Well, I'm just doing the math, basically. I just wrote a lot of algorithms for autopilot. We do not add any spin of the Earth within the navigation system. Okay? It's just a point-to-point navigation. You do not add spin of the Earth because we assume, I'm telling you that why we don't add it, because we're presuming the atmosphere and the Earth are moving both together. That's why we don't have that relative velocity. However, if you just be smart enough, you can understand that this is not possible. The Earth atmosphere cannot move rigidly with the Earth because if you know a little about fluid mechanics, there's a condition called snowflake condition, which tells you that the atmosphere would not move rigidly with the Earth. Only the lower layers of atmosphere, probably less than 1,000 feet, these layers might move with the Earth, but as you move forward up, you're going to see that the atmosphere tends to not to move with the Earth. You can just simulate that on a computer, and you can just look up in the no-slip condition in fluid mechanics. So basically, when flat earthers are saying that when a helicopter or balloon goes in high altitude, and if it stays up there, if it comes back in the same point, it means that the Earth is not moving. Why they're saying that? Because they're saying that the atmosphere in high altitudes cannot move. Therefore, the relative velocity or the initial velocity that you had with the Earth in the first time would have dropped. And eventually, when you come down, you're going to land into a different place. But the globers are saying that no, the reason that you will come exactly the same place when you go into high altitude balloons because the fucking atmosphere is rigidly moving with Earth, and there's no sort of a drop in your initial velocity, that initial velocity that the object would have had, because the Earth is, spinning with 1,000 kilometers per hour. So that's the initial velocity that any object would have had when it lift off. So when you go up there, you can always maintain this initial velocity.
Is there any way you could wrap this up or shorten this up or be a little bit more concise, please?
I know, bro. Damn.
I thought you guys were just going over the math I posted while he was kind of like, waffling on. I thought that's why.
Well, he's just either, I don't know, he might be just behind the times, but it's just wrong because the modern interferometers that the gyroscopic systems are based off of nowadays do measure the rotation of the Earth. So we don't have to use this simplified model of assuming a number, right? We could just use the offset and the phase of the internal mechanism of the interferometers of each of the axes to have that measure the rotation of the Earth, right? And then it's actually used as a verification. The pilots then input their coordinates into the modern ADIRS and ADIRS systems, and it has to match their coordinate rotation has to match what it would be, has to match the location that the interferometer is measuring. So saying that they have to use some kind of assumption is just wrong.
And I just talked with a pilot when I flew to Helsinki last 2 weeks ago. And because Helsinki is so close to Russia, they have typical GPS interference because the Russians are using nowadays GPS jamming devices. So they are actually relying on the inertial navigation system. So that's what they are using, and that is based on the globe.
That is offset that you guys are talking about.
Real quick, hold on, man. Real quick. Can we see in the internal navigation system? Can we see that they are?
Yeah, I can post your.
Hello.
Yeah.
I wasn't even close. I was very close to being done. Can we see in the internal navigation system that they are in fact turning left or right to adjust for the Coriolis effect? Yes or no?
No, because wind from the left and from the right would oversteer 1,000 times the Coriolis effect.
I was just asking. All right, but they are turning left or right to adjust for the Coriolis effect, are they not?
They are turning left and right to adjust for the wind.
Are they turning left or right to adjust for the Coriolis effect? This is the weird game that we like to play.
I don't know. It's absolutely negligible.
Okay.
The Coriolis effect on an airplane is absolutely negligible because you have wind movements, and these are 1,000 times stronger than the Coriolis would ever be.
Sure, but if there was Coriolis, whether they realized it or not, they would have to turn left or right, right?
if it would be theoretically totally still wind and they are wood flying north, they would have to point to a different direction to reach the target. Yeah.
You know, no theoretical, just as we fly right now. Like
no,
obviously,
as we fly right now, you don't have to count Coriolis.
Talking, dude.
I just told you, as we fly right now, you don't have to account for Coriolis because air movements are 1,000 times more effective on the path of flight than the Coriolis would ever be.
So the pilots don't have to turn left or right now for Coriolis effect.
I mean exactly what I mean. Due to the wind, they turn, and you cannot measure or distinguish Coriolis effects due to this high wind speeds.
Okay, but yet nonetheless, even with the wind, the Coriolis is still happening, and even if it is unbeknownst to them, would they have to turn left or right to adjust for it?
No, bro. No, bro. What are you talking about? No, they never do that. Imagine it's not windy. If it's not windy, do they do that? No. If it's not windy, nobody's going to adjust for the Coriolis effect. What are you guys are talking about? Don't make it windy. Just imagine that you have a normal condition. It's the wind is 0 kilometers per hour. Then what? Are they going to adjust for Coriolis? No, they won't. They're not going to do that. We don't have it in the algorithm.
I got it right here in the math. It says if you adjust for Coriolis effect over a globe Earth from 20 degrees north latitude, and you fly 6,000 miles south, that you're going to actually fly 12,000 miles. That's what the math says. Because you're going to have to the Earth's going to be turning.
Oh, geez, this is so simple, right? It's just by the nature in which they fly, right? The pilots don't start at one location, input their destination, and just ballistically, take the heading, start going, and hope that they get there. No, they either steer the plane or they have the autopilot steer the plane to the destination. So within all those turns and adjustments to pitch, and to yaw, and to roll during the trip while the plane or the pilots are steering, right? Any kind of influence that the Coriolis would have on the flight path is being negated by those motions.
I mean, that makes sense, but that would make a longer trip.
I understand you're saying it's a very small thing, but the autopilot or the pilot, even if it's so small the wind overrides it, they would be having to turn for that. Like that's got to be somewhere in them turn when they turn the left or right. Obviously, the Coriolis effect that would have to be in there with the left or right turn, right?
No. Because the wind is a thing, and you never know.
I just said the wind was a thing. It's like you don't even listen and you want to play a weird game. I just said the wind is a thing. Even with that being said, as the pilot or the autopilot's going, as they're flying, they're getting turned off course from the Coriolis effect. So they would have to adjust to turn left or right because of that effect. I realize the wind is stronger. I understand that. Please don't bring that up 17 more times.
Yes, Jeremy, you're correct. The Coriolis would be one of the factors that the plane would be needing to turn
and
steer itself for in order to make it to its desired destination.
Okay. Did you hear that left plane? Hold on a second, guys. Did you hear left plane? Did you hear that?
Yeah, one of the factors.
Maybe AFK.
I've always
you've been telling me for months they don't
specific.
have to turn.
I've been very specific
You said they don't
about
have to turn.
not accounting for anything but Coriolis. It would be a crab. You would point your nose into the force, and they call it a crab. It's not a turn. I wouldn't dip my wing. I would just step on the right rudder or the left rudder and change my thrust vector into that force, and it would be a crab, not a turn.
So you don't turn. Yeah, Jay, that's from a pilot. He says you don't have to turn left or right to adjust for Coriolis.
I don't know. I mean, I see what left lane is talking about, like adjusting, like if the Coriolis was large enough that you actually needed to make like a conscious adjustment with the plane for it. It's not that large of a force, and it's not the only force that's impacting a plane while it flies, right? So you have to add up all these forces, and then you just steer the plane right towards your destination, and that negates any force, the Coriolis, wind, air resistance, any outside force that will be affecting your flight path. It's just by the nature of what flying is.
Your Lexus?
It's not a ballistic. You're not a ballistic
Sí,
missile.
Toyota.
You're a plane.
Sí.
Layla, you're hot mic and Jeremy, you're robot.
Lexus es el lujo de Toyota.
What are you saying, Jay? Sorry, Jeremy is robot and then
Yeah, he is kind of robot. Right, I'm just saying it's just in the nature of how you fly a plane, of it not being a ballistic missile, it being an airplane, right? You take the sum of any outside force, right? You can assign. Let's make an example, right? So let's assign numbers. The Coriolis can have a magnitude of 2 units of force that it's imparting on the airplane, right? But the air resistance has a magnitude of 5 units, and the wind, right, that can have a magnitude of 15 units. So all you know is that you need to steer the plane at 22 magnitude units, right? You sum them all up, and you steer the plane that sum to keep it on track towards your destination. Just how it's just the nature of flying.
Minutes ago. Right, but 2 minutes ago, you told me they did have to turn to adjust for the Coriolis left and right. Right, you did say that, right?
What did I say?
You said it is a turn, left or right turn, the adjustment for the Coriolis effect. Even if it's so small, it's unbeknownst to them. They would still have to do it, right? You said that.
I'm sorry, man. Someone else is walking by with a dog barking at mine. I didn't hear you. My bad. Say it one
forget
more
it, man.
time.
Just forget it. I'm good, bro. I'm busy.
All right. Well,
you told me 5 minutes ago there was no turn. You told me 5 minutes ago there was a turn. Left lane says no turn. What's up? Is there a turn? Do you have to turn to adjust for the Coriolis effect, or do you not have to turn to adjust for the Coriolis effect? As you're traveling, you're headed at the airport. You're heading at the airport, right? You're doing a great circle route. Over time, the Coriolis effect deviates you off. Do you have to turn left or right? Even if it's so small, it's unbeknownst to the pilot. Obviously, he would still have to turn for it, right?
I don't think you're understanding quite like what it is.
I understand
right?
it, dude.
It
So
would
small,
depend
the
on
wind
the
is bigger. I
direction.
know.
It would depend on the direction that you're traveling. Right, that would be one factor. But your turn accounts for the sum of all the outside forces, including, but not limited to, just the Coriolis force.
I understand,
Right, you
dude. I
turn
understand.
and steer the
Jay,
plane based off of all the forces impacting. The Coriolis
yeah, I
just
know.
gets accounted for within that action.
Right. So the Coriolis correction is a turn left or right. Right? Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
It could be, sure.
How would you adjust for the Coriolis?
You don't just single out the Coriolis.
Wouldn't you miss the airport? Wouldn't you miss the? I'm not trying to just single it out. But if you have to, we have to single it out. Obviously, the only way to correct for it would be a left or right turn. What else could you do other than turn left or right to adjust for it?
No, because you can have another force that is impacting your flight path in the total opposite direction, and thus negating any kind of correction you would need to make for the Coriolis in the other direction. Okay. So that's why I say your turns are due to the net sum of the forces, not just individual.
Okay, yes, you have to turn left. The wind's blowing. You have to turn left or right to adjust for that to stay on course. Now, while the wind is blowing, the Coriolis effect is always happening. Do you have to turn left or right for that also to adjust for that?
Again, but you might not have to turn at all if the wind force, the air resistance, etc., is counteracting the Coriolis in exactly the opposite direction with exactly the same magnitude. You wouldn't have to make any correction, right? So it's always the net sum, Jeremy, that you're correcting for.
Okay, let's say there was no wind. Do you have to turn left or right to adjust for the Coriolis effect?
Sure, you might.
Sure.
There's other factors
yes,
involved
or yes,
that could. I said sure. You
I thought you
might.
said yes, sir.
There's other factors that are involved.
Okay, if there was no wind, what other factors are involved?
Well, your speed, your direction, the barometric pressure at the altitude that you're at, the air resistance, just how the plane naturally has air resistance, what those numbers are. All of these things they're all factors.
Hey, Jeremy, J8, real quick. Do you mind if I ask you a question, J8? I'm not sure how much time you have, but I have Taylor in here, and she's been really trying to pick someone's brain on abiogenesis, and just wondering if you have time to talk about that. Maybe not now, or maybe sometime in the future. I would love to hear that debate.
Yeah, did you get my DM? Jace?
Yeah. I'll let I'm gonna bring my dog back home, so I'll let whoever wants to do the airplane thing finish it with Jeremy or whoever, and then we could talk about abiogenesis, after that's all done.
Nice.
I mean, if you're flying, what's a Coriolis correction look like in a plane? Is it not a turn left or right? If it's not a turn left or right, what is it? Nobody knows, huh?
It scoots. It scoots to the left.
Maybe you could just
man,
crab it or
boy.
lobster it and not turn to the left or the right.
Is that a
You
precise unit of
lobster
measurement?
glide.
Scoot? Essie, is that a precise unit of measurement, a scoot, or can there be like a slight scoot or like a major scoot?
Well, you have the semi-scoot, and yeah, that was the full one there, yeah.
It's a full scoot.
Affirmative.
Okay, just let it be on the record that Essie claims that planes perform a full scoot in regards to the Coriolis effect. That is his claim. It's on the record.
Duly
You can't
noted.
get precise. You can't get precise enough to measure a scoop.
You're flying with your boots on. It's a boot scoot.
There you
Left
go.
plane. The thing you're saying though, left plane doesn't make any sense because you have to turn. Whatever this crabbing lobster claw thing is, it's a turn, dude. Because if you're flying straight, like we could demonstrate this on a merry-go-round. If there's a spinning merry-go-round and you're trying to stay over the same spot, you take off heading at a target. If you don't turn, you will not hit that target. It'll be gone.
Yeah, turntable's not a good thing, but I call a turn changing heading. But if I'm adjusting to maintain a heading, I don't call that a turn.
You have to change your heading because with the Coriolis effect, it's supposed to throw you off your heading. So obviously you would have to change your heading now because you're not heading in the right heading.
You're going to change your heading, and then you're going to hold that. You're going to hold that heading, like you're going to fly a track of say 180 degrees, but you got your plane turned to 182 degrees, but you're still going on a 180 degree track, and without deviating,
you're holding
that
your
means
heading,
your plane is 2 degrees sideways according to your track, and that's a crab.
If you're holding your heading and the
It's
Coriolis
true.
effect is happening, if you're holding your heading and the Coriolis effect is happening, you have to change your heading. You have to turn. You can't keep going straight. Otherwise, you will not hit the target, the airport, whatever the flying thing is. That's why they don't shoot bullets at the target, the claim is, or ballistics at the target, because you have to turn. If the ballistic started off going at the target, the only way for it to hit the target is it would now have to turn. That's why they shoot them where the target's going to be. Like why you're denying this turn?
Plane
I don't
isn't
know
a
why you're
ballistic
denying
though.
this turn so hard.
It's not
I know
any
it's not a
different
ballistic.
than driving a car down the road. You can just fly your plane down the road, 10 feet off the
know a
road or
plane's not a-
100 feet off the road, and it's still the same thing.
I obviously know a plane's not a ballistic, and I'm using the ballistic to show you why you have to turn. That is why you have to turn, because if they shoot the ballistic where the target is, like you guys fly, you start off flying right at the airport. If you started off flying at the airport and you shot a ballistic at the airport and you don't turn, none of them are going to hit.
It's like a wide receiver catching a pass from a quarterback. Quarterback's got to throw it to where the wide receiver's going to be.
Like, why are you denying this turn so hard? I don't get it.
I just don't call it a turn. If I want to go direct south 180 degrees and I've got a crosswind or Coriolis or whatever blowing me off course, I'll step on opposite rudder and point my nose into the force that's blowing me off course, and then I'll hold that. I won't change it. I won't change heading or anything. I just hold that correction and fly straight down that path.
Well, Flynn's saying is crap. That's how you fly a plane. And the grabbing thing is not like a thing he made up. That's a very common term amongst pilots.
Yeah,
How
I'm
would
not saying
one
he made this crabbing
differentiate?
thing up. Hold on, I'm
How
not
would one
saying he made the
differentiate
crabbing
between
thing up.
crosswinds and? Oh, sorry, Jared.
Hold on, I'm not saying he made the crabbing thing up. It may very well be a real thing. I've never disputed him on that. What I'm saying is, when you have the Coriolis effect, and you have an object that's trying to get to another point, and if you start off heading at the target or the airport or whatever it is, if you don't turn the plane, you won't hit the target. You're not going to hit the airport. You have to turn for the Coriolis effect in order to land at your target or airport at that point. That is a fact. I know how the Coriolis. Don't tell me I don't understand or I'm not getting it. I get all this.
Could it be a slip left lane instead of a crab?
Well, a slip is kind of turning the side of your airplane into your direction of path. To lose altitude, it actually creates a lot of drag and allows you to lose altitude pretty quick. So that would be an inefficient way to fly a path. You burn more fuel and go slower and so on and so forth.
I was just pulling your leg. I just looked that up. I'll confess.
Oh, it's fun. It's slip, and you got a forward slip and a side slip. I use a side slip in crosswind landings, and you actually land on one wheel, so to speak. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, but this Coriolis stuff, guys, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean,
I still think a better argument is that you'd never have a calm day on a rotating globe.
You'd never have what? Say it again.
A calm, windless day.
There's never a calm windless day. Or saying
There
anywhere?
always is. No, yeah, anywhere.
Somewhere.
Like there would be
somewhere.
no time there'd be no place that you would be able to go to a lake and see like a glassy reflection off the lake because there would always be wind whipping it up.
There would be, I would think there would be drag, meaning like the air is going 1 speed at 1 foot elevation, and then at 2 foot elevation it's going a different speed, and 3 foot and 4. There'd be like a gradient of a drag gradient. I don't even know if that's a thing.
Yeah, but that would be a bunch of wind whipping at all different directions at different speeds. It would never just be an area that you go to that's just completely calm. It'd be impossible. Impossible to maintain a calm area on a globe Earth that's spinning around. Like the guy said earlier about the fluid dynamics, a gaseous state is not a rigid body. Therefore, it can't move lockstep with itself. Yet, for there to be a calm day over any patch of land, that air would have to be moving lockstep with the land underneath it. You have fundamental contradiction.
they don't even understand the Coriolis. That's the problem.
Like, I would actually agree with that statement, man. I know exactly how the Coriolis effect works, and these guys are like fighting me on it for some reason. It's crazy.
First of all, they don't get that it's visual in their fantasy. It's a visual thing. Yeah.
Dude, here's the thing. You have to turn. If you start off with the ballistic or the plane or whatever, and you just go straight and you're heading at your target and you take off, if you don't turn, you're not going to hit your target. That is a fact about Coriolis.
Somehow they incorporate it into the wind, into their thing. It's like it's there, it's not there.
But they're not even admitting that you have to do the turn now. You still have to do the turn. I realize the wind's there, yes, but you still have to do the turn.
Okay, so how would one differentiate between like the crosswinds and the Coriolis effect? How would one even know which one is actually affecting you? If there was both, right?
Well, there's a way to tell, but you have to view it from that's actually the proof on how you would, because I think there's no other way to do this, which is whenever they demonstrate how the Coriolis works, they get in both frames. They get a camera in both frames, and they'll show you, look, this is what it looks like from this frame. This is what it looks like from this frame. It couldn't do that unless if there was an actual force, it would just look the same in both frames. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like it'd be turning in one frame and it'd be turning in another frame. It'd just be turning because the wind's turning it. The Coriolis effect, it's not an actual force. It just looks like SE said, this is just a visual thing, dude. The plane's really going straight. You know what I'm saying? Or the object or the projectile. You throw a baseball from merry-go-round, it goes straight. There's no actual force there.
Right, it's a fictitious force. It's like you treat
I
it
don't
as if
like
it's
that
not
word,
there.
Even that is like a misconception, like fictitious
misnomer.
force. What even does that mean? Yeah.
Does anyone else understand what I pointed out, though? That to have a calm, still day over the Earth, the atmosphere has to be in lockstep with the ground. Yet a gaseous state is not a rigid body, therefore it would not be in lockstep. Therefore, fundamental contradiction. Does that jive with anyone?
Of course, would everyone accept them? Yeah, we've said
What
that
would it
many
look like,
times.
though? No, what would it look like? The thing like I said, or something different? What would it
No, I'm just
look like if
saying
it was?
to have a still day, it needs to be lockstep. Yet rigid bodies move lockstep, not fluid bodies.
Oh, I like Jeremy's explanation. I think it would be kind of like that. The gradient of some kind with the wind.
Yeah, dude. Like I don't even know if that's a real thing or I just made it up, but just the way fluid dynamics works, you have a drag gradient.
Yeah, like all the high winds would be like on the ground.
They may
and,
even
like,
claim
higher up.
they may even claim that's actually happening, just at such a small extent you can't tell. But I bet you they actually claim that's happening.
No, they do actually. That was the thing. Like growing up, like I was taught that the prevailing wind was out of the west because of the spin of the Earth, dude.
Hmm.
Let's not forget what happens within their spinning atmos, right? There's jet streams going the opposite direction.
Yeah, there is no like
within
preferred
the
direction
spin.
for jet streams, I don't think. And sometimes in like the same place but at a different altitude, they'll be going in completely opposite directions.
Yeah, fluid mechanics, right? Picture a ninja blender, right? Now you turn it on and everything is spinning one way, right? That's their envision, their fantasy, right? Now you got to go the other way. Fluid mechanics, you got to go the other way. In other words, when you're making your strawberry daiquiri or whatever you're making, right? Your strawberries are going one way, counterclockwise. Now you need a strawberry to go the other way. Now tell me, how do you do that?
I don't know. I made a statement that nobody can challenge. You have to turn. If you take it, like you can't. There's no challenging that. I mean, you can challenge it. I'd love to hear how you would do that, but that's just a core. That's what has to happen with Coriolis. That's why they shoot ballistics. Well, that's why they claim that they shoot ballistics where the target's going to be, not where it is now, because they know that if you shoot it at where it is now, you're not going to hit it. That's why they do that. You can't not turn for this. Like, why would you? Why are you denying the turn, left lane? It doesn't make sense. It's a fact of physics.
No one is turning, nothing is spinning. It's all in their fantasy model. like Yoda said, if spinning it is, bloody feel it you will.
Like now no one's going to say nothing. We'll just be right back on this in a week or two when everyone forgets about this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's Groundhog Day. You know how it works.
Jace, are you still here? Oh man. I hope he didn't leave.
He said he'll be back after his dog.
Yeah, he's putting his dog away.
Okay, cool. Y'all could just DM me.
Yeah, I'm
he'd
here.
be the guy to.
I'm bringing my dog back to the house, and then I can talk more. I'm almost back, like 5 minutes.
Cool.
Like, what do you do? 20-mile walks, Jace?
That's what I was wondering.
No. Well, me and the dog have only been out here maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It's usually what I do with him, and then I'll walk or run, jog like an hour myself, maybe.
You know, instead of talking about J.H.'s dog or his exercise
I know.
routine, can we talk about the thing I just said about not turning the plane, or about having to turn the plane?
Well, they gave you the runaround, bro. What did Jay say? 2% Coriolis, 3% wind, 2% syrup. Add them all up. Boom. What do you think they're going to say? You think you're going to get anywhere?
Yeah, right. It's how reality works. You have to steer a path for all forces influencing it. Like the probability of having a situation where you're solely having to correct the airplane's path for just a Coriolis force is ridiculously minute, right? You're steering the plane based off of all of the forces that are influencing the plane, because that's how reality works. It's not just one force.
I realize that, dude. I realize there's other forces at play, but obviously the Coriolis force is something you need to physically turn the plane for in the midst of all that. That would be something that you would have to, if the Coriolis is affecting your thing. Yes, there's other forces. Maybe there's one counteracting it, so you don't have to turn. But if that wasn't there, you would have to turn for the Coriolis effect. We can demonstrate this. See, the thing is, you guys are thinking this is just planes and shit, but we can demonstrate this on a merry-go-round, and we can show that you have to turn the drone or whatever we're flying, or you'll never hit the target. Like, I don't know why you can't just admit to that.
Well, I've done, and I may be wrong on this because I've done it in my head, but I think if I flew north to south, directly due south at 100 knots, and I flew 100 nautical miles, if I didn't correct for it, I think I would be about 1.5 miles to the right of the airport, which I'd see the airport and fly to it before I got that far off. But I mean, that's how slight it is, that if I didn't correct for it, I would be 1.5 miles off over 100 nautical miles.
By correcting for it, you mean turning left or right? This was whack, bro. I mean, anyways, Taylor wanted to go over some abiogenesis with Jace or something, I think.
Well, the reason we're having this conversation about Coriolis is because they end up saying something like a sniper has to account for it, but then the pilot doesn't, and the pilot's in the air for a hell of a lot longer than a bullet is.
Yeah, and
it's going slower too, though.
The plane is a little bit slower than a bullet.
A bullet speed would make it. They would have to account far less for it.
What?
Well, because the bullet's only traveling over a short period of time, so that the Earth would essentially, in your model, not be moving nearly as far. But again, then when you actually try to pin somebody down on it, which I have on exactly the sniper thing, they end up saying the exact same thing, that it's lost in the sauce. It's lost in the wind or whatever. But the real deal is that if it even was any kind of thing at all, you'd have to know which direction you were facing. And in a combat situation, nobody would ever make such a... You'd never be able to make that, you know? Like, you know?
The thing is, the plane is moving in the air with the air. The bullet is not. The bullet is taking its trajectory from where you shoot it. And yes, the Coriolis effect is typically negligible if you have side winds. If you're shooting over long range, the side wind is much more effective. But on a calm day, you can see that. I can post again a video where you see the demonstration of the Coriolis.
All right, well, let's try this then. Let's try this. if you had a bullet and you're going to shoot it at a target at a very long distance, the only way you could shoot it at the target and still hit the target would be if you could steer the bullet, right? Like left, you'd have to turn it left or right over the course of flight, right? And then you could still hit the target. Is that the only way to hit it, or what?
No, that's same with crosswind. You are aiming to a different point, or over long distance, you have to aim higher. So you are changing your scope based on where you want to shoot, and then where you
We're talking
point
about
your weapon
Coriolis,
to.
we're talking about Coriolis, not a parabolic trajectory. We know you got to aim higher. We're talking about left or right.
Depending on where you're pointing. If you're pointing south or pointing north, and if you're in the northern hemisphere or at the equator, and so on. And if you're shooting east or west, you don't have to account for Coriolis, but for the rotation of the Earth. Because if you're shooting east, it's the same direction as the Earth is turning, so your bullet will fly further, so it will be higher. If you shoot west, it will be lower because it's very slow, the bullet, compared to the Earth, and therefore it's attracted by the gravity more.
All right, bro, you're just droning on with blow BS now. You can show on a merry-go-round that you will absolutely have to turn the plane or the drone or whatever you're flying. You will absolutely 100% have to turn it if you do not, if you start off aiming at the target or your destination. You will never hit your destination in any Coriolis scenario where wind's not involved and you're spinning the thing fast enough. I realize you could try to come up with something weird. Just in a normal scenario, though, with a drone over a merry-go-round, you have to turn the drone if you start off flying at the place you want to land. If you in the center, from the center.
If you're on the merry-go-round, I'm sitting outside. You're sitting in the in the center, and I have a water pistol, and I try to aim to your face, and I shoot. I will pass you, so I will not hit you. But if I then, for example, shoot to the left or to the right, this kind of, for me, visually curving path of that water will hit you. So you can account for Coriolis. The water itself does not have to change direction.
Bro, you didn't address anything I said.
Point.
You didn't address the thing I said, though. Like, we're not
The
talking
bullet
about
does not have to turn. You just shoot in a different direction.
We're flying a drone from the center of the merry-go-round to the edge. The drone is spinning. You want to get to the target. You have a target. There's a dot on the edge of the drone. You want to land on that dot. If you start off flying towards the dot and you don't turn left or right, you will not hit the dot.
Yeah, but there's the
Do you agree? Do you agree with that statement? Hold on. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Jesus.
But there is exactly the point. If the drone would start in the direction of that thing where it was when we started, but is not anymore while we are flying.
And then the air is not moving with the merry-go-round either.
So if you try...
Hold on, before you go on again, it doesn't matter that the air is moving or not. This is the Coriolis effect. It's not like... It
does matter, though.
It's not like there's some... Hold on, man. No, it's not like there's some other type of Coriolis effect. The Coriolis effect is the Coriolis effect. And there's no way you can... You can go... If the Coriolis effect is at play, these two... See, that's what makes it weird, is that you guys are fighting about this and you really don't... I don't know. I don't want to add homie or nothing, but I mean...
I mean, with a bullet, if you have a bullet trajectory, it doesn't really matter if the air is moving left to right a little bit. So the movement of the air on top of the earth with a bullet, as long as it's not heavy crosswinds or so, doesn't really matter. So we could cancel out the air, but the drone example is a weird example because it's not a ballistic thing. You cannot compare it with bullets. So. And drones.
I'm not trying to compare. I'm not trying to compare the. Hey, yo, my man. I'm not trying to compare it with ballistics. I'm trying to show that when you have the drone in the drone example, the non-ballistic flight, I'm trying to show that you have to turn the thing. These guys are arguing with me, acting like you wouldn't have to turn it. Left lane saying it's a crab, not a turn.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you want to hit something that is on the merry-go-round, you just point to with a drone, You just aim to the position where the thing is that I want to hit once I'm at that position. So I'm not trying.
Yeah, I know,
to
but
chase.
if you're taking off, I know, but if you're taking off and you fly and you start off flying at the place you want to land, you have to turn.
No, I'm directly flying in a different direction.
You just agreed to that 2 minutes ago.
You can try to chase the point where you want to land, yes, but that doesn't make sense. You can directly measure the rotation of that merry-go-round and directly head to the point where you will land when that point will be there.
I agree. You could do that. Okay. Yes, of course. But the first thing you said, that doesn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense to do that. You'd want to go in a straight line and take the shortest path. Guess how they're flying planes? They're starting off flying aimed. They're starting off flying aimed at the airport.
No.
The shortest path is when you don't turn left or right. And if you are flying like this, you have to turn left or right. We just went through that as a Coriolis fact.
Yes. So there are two things, Coriolis effect and Coriolis force. But however, for example, planes are typically not pointing their nose towards where they want to land. They are pointing their nose in the direction of like the diagonal wind, so that they can fly straight. So you always
they fly regardless of that. Their main trajectory is going towards I understand their nose may not be pointed, but their trajectory is directly pointed at the place where they want to land. So that was a cool try, but it's not really relevant.
Yeah, but I agree with you. So the trajectory
it's not relevant at all. So say something relevant this time.
The trajectory, I agree with you, is towards the point where they want to land. But that trajectory has to be maintained all the time. So
yeah, but if you didn't
for everything.
Snooze, if you wanted to take the smarter path, like you said, you could just make your trajectory be to where the thing's gonna be. You even said it didn't make sense to do it the other way. You would just make you would just do all the math, make your trajectory be where the thing's gonna be. That way you don't have to turn left or right, because we all know if you don't turn left or right, that's the shortest path.
Yeah, that would make sense if there is no air on the Earth and that is not moving with the Earth. So that and that's the essential difference.
But the air moving with the Earth is
wait a second.
The air moving with the Earth is another thing that's non sequitur. Well, I mean non sequitur things in a row.
But this is the major difference between an aircraft flying on the Earth with the moving air or a drone hovering over a merry-go-round while the air is stationary in the in the reference frame of the drone.
No,
so the merry-go-round is turning.
Let me just stop you right there. Let me just stop you right there. There's no difference in this. You still have the two frames. There's still the same thing happening regardless if the air. You guys always try to use this as your out, as like a last resort, but it doesn't matter because it's
okay. You're breaking up a little bit, but
effect. It doesn't matter if the wind's moving with.
Jeremy, you're roboting a little bit. Jeremy, you're roboting.
Jeremy, you're really breaking up, but I want to try a different example. Please just hear me out for a second, because I think it's an equivalent. Let's assume we are on a big river. Assume some big river that you know it's floating basically straight. There is a boat on that river, and I am swimming in that river, and that I'm basically 90 degrees to the boat in the direction of where we are swimming with all the water. Can you follow? Are you with me so far?
I mean, it's kind of a messed up analogy in comparison to what Jeremy was trying to say. It's like not analogous.
Why are you saying just the shit that it's messed up analogy if you haven't heard me out?
Well, because I mean, Jeremy laid it out pretty clear. I mean,
no,
you could do it with the plane, you could do it with the merry-go-round. Now you got them in rivers.
No, because you're misinterpreting the moving medium or not. You're completely forgetting the moving medium, and I want to show it in an obvious example, and you're just so not listening.
Dude, I'm not forgetting the moving medium, bro.
Okay,
I
Jeremy,
understand.
now
Hold
that
on,
you're
man.
back.
I understand the air is. Hold on, man. Nobody's forgetting the moving medium. I understand the air is rotating with Earth. What you don't understand is you still have the non-inertial frame. You still have the inertial frame. You still have the Coriolis effect in this movement. It doesn't matter if it's moving or not moving. The Coriolis effect is still there.
Okay, can we still go through the example I would like to do with you?
Go ahead. I didn't hear the first part.
Okay, so imagine you're on a big river. There is a boat on that river. You're swimming on that river. Your position is 90 degrees in relation to the direction of the river, to the boat. So you're on the side of the boat. Are you with me so far? Jeremy?
I'm on the side of the boat. I'm near the riverbank, and the boat is directly
let's say
perpendicular
in the center.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, let me just lay the scenario out so I make sure I understand. So can you listen for a second?
Yes.
Okay. You're at the riverbank, and you're going to go to the boat, which is directly in front of you, 90 degrees from the direction of the current.
Yeah, but we are both floating in the water.
So that's not it? That's not the scenario.
It's kind of the scenario, but I'm not at the riverbank. I'm also in the water. Let's say
you're in the water at the riverbank. I get it. I got it.
Okay. So let's say the boat is
everything's floating along together. Everything's floating along together, right?
Yes, correct.
At the same speed?
At the same speed, because we are at the same river, right? So we are not moving. The boat has no motor. Okay? Good. So now I want to reach the boat. So I know I'm moving, let's say, with 5 miles an hour because that's the speed of the water. And I know that I can maybe swim with 5 miles an hour or so, which would be pretty fast, but let's just assume that 2 speeds. So that means to reach the boat, my trajectory will be 45 degrees front and to the boat. Is it correct?
No.
If I'm swimming straight,
you're trying to hold on, man. Hold on. You're trying to swim to the boat, right?
Yeah, I try to swim to the boat.
Let's get a speed on the. Hold on, man. Hold on, Burrow. You're freaking out, dude. Let's get a speed on the water. How fast is the water going?
Water is 5 miles an hour.
Okay, the water is going 5 miles an hour. So we're both floating along at 5 miles an hour.
Yes.
Right. So I swim forward toward. I don't know why you're angling anything. I swim towards the boat.
Okay.
And I'm now closer to the boat. I'm one stroke closer to the boat, right?
No, yeah, you're looking, if you look towards the boat and you directly swim in the direction of your looking to the boat.
Yep.
With also 5 miles an hour, you will reach the boat, right?
Well, I'm curious. I got a question.
I don't know how this even. Go ahead, Dieslow.
I got a quick question. Is your position perpendicular to the boat moving by you, or are you swimming parallel to the boat in the moving water? Yeah, you didn't really address that way.
Oh no, so my position is parallel. I'm swimming. I'm drifting parallel to the boat, but now I want to swim to the boat. So I'm looking towards the boat in the direction of the boat, and now I start swimming in the visual shortest direction in that moving medium.
And that boat is downstream from you or upstream?
No, parallel to me at the side. So it's at the same height of me in the river. So 90 degrees towards the direction of the river.
But again, okay, so you're swimming. Okay, so you're in the water with the boat, and the boat is downstream from you. So you have to swim directly to the boat?
No, the boat is at the same height. If you look upstream, downstream, it's at the same position, but more to the left or to the right. So we are swimming at the same, basically at the same position, but let's say 20 feet apart. So to swim to the boat, the boat, I have to swim perpendicular to the direction of the river.
I don't know. I think Jeremy's analogy was far simpler. I even got a picture that I could provide to help. But I mean, your analogy, I'm kind of losing it. I'm sorry.
Well, can I just ask?
The point that I want to make is, if I'm on the side of the boat and I want to swim to the boat, when I reach the boat, we both have traveled further down the river. So while I'm heading towards the boat, I'm still traveling a direct path. It's the shortest path that I can travel. It's a diagonal to the front. But I would never reach the boat if I try to aim to that diagonal to the front. And that's the thinking problem also, like on the spinning globe. If the plane would leave the airport and point to the direction where the destination airport will be in 1 hour, we will be on a different point because we are traveling through the moving air. Because the air is
but they don't.
rotating.
That's not how they fly. They don't
No,
fly
they
where
fly
the
in the
destination
direction
is
of the
going to be.
destination airport.
Real quick, bro. Yeah, real quick. They don't fly where the destination is going to be, accounting for the Coriolis. They fly where the destination. Yeah, can I just finish, bro?
I just agree.
Yeah, so they fly. All right. I don't know if I can do this, bro. It's just, I'm getting frustrated already. Yeah, so
I think one at a
planes,
time here. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, all right. Fuck it. I'm done.
No, I was
wasn't
agreeing
me.
with you, Dieslow. I was agreeing. I was saying, yeah, one at a time, because you guys are talking over each other a lot. And I'm sorry I was the one who interrupted you to say that, but I'm agreeing with you. You both should talk one at a time.
Yeah.
But I think what we're getting at here is Dieslow is saying they're not doing that. They're still banking and turning, and you're not going to follow the same, even if you take the moving plane along with you. If I understood your point correctly, Snooze, like with the water or whatever, the water is like drifting 5 miles an hour one direction. It's not going to make a difference. It's just a reference frame. It would be the same as if the water was still and you would just go straight to the boat. But I think the Dieslow argument here is that's not what the plane is doing. It's like banking and moving around a lot and not following that irrelevant reference frame path, right? Have I got that correctly?
Yeah, kind of. The only thing that I wanted to make the point here is that the plane starting from the one airport going to the other airport is different than the drone over the merry-go-round, because while the plane is in a moving medium that is moving together with my destination airport, the drone example is not moving with the merry-go-round because the air of the merry-go-round above the merry-go-round is still. So the
we know
drone,
there'd be different. The Coriolis effect would happen slightly different. However, there's still going to be the same thing happens. They show it with ballistics. You can't shoot where the target is. You have to shoot where it's going to be.
Correct.
That's the globe plane. That means that that you have to turn the plane. If you start off flying at the airport, you're not going to hit the airport unless you adjust for the Coriolis effect. It has to be somewhere in there.
Right. So instead of leading the target and flying to where your destination is going to be, you're flying towards the target where it is now, and then having to turn to adjust for the Coriolis, which is not the shortest route.
Yeah, the shortest route is when you don't turn. No, we heard you. The shortest route is when you. Okay. The shortest route is obviously where you. We heard you. The shortest route is obviously where you don't turn the plane. That's why they say a great circle route is the shortest route, because you don't turn left or right, because that's the shortest path. Obviously, if you were going to go somewhere, you would never turn left or right if you want to take the shortest path if you didn't have to. That being said, hold on, I'm almost done. That being said, I forgot where I was.
Okay, I think the misconception here is that if you say
Snooze, hold on a second. Yeah, the shortest path is when you don't turn. they are flying in a manner to where they are making themselves turn more than they have to. What you could do is you could do the math, say, oh, we're going to fly at 500 miles an hour and the Earth's spinning at this rate. So we know that when we get here, we should be here. They could do some calculations and fly on a straighter path and, and have to turn less because they could fly.
But
they could do the corrections.
If I can just
like
jump in and respond to all of you guys real quick, because just to clarify this argument for everybody listening, are we talking about in relation to what airplanes actually seem to do on paths, or only the strict mathematics as what is supposed to happen? Because in a real flight, you're accounting for so many things like wind and jet streams, air traffic control, and the flight corridors, right? Different path avoidance.
That we had already. So
all of that is irrelevant.
That in reality the wind is more. Yeah, that in reality the wind is more important than the Coriolis we had already.
Yeah. Okay. So you're just talking about the. Okay. Gotcha. Just wanted to clarify.
But Jeremy, one thing. I think the misconception here about.
Hold on. There is no You're misconceived. The argument is that the planes aren't flying the shortest path because they could be doing a path where they don't have to adjust for the Coriolis effect, which is a left or right turn, but they don't care. They're not adjusting for it. They're chasing the target the whole time instead of leading the target. They're chasing it. If you lead it, the plane doesn't have to turn for Coriolis. If you chase it, the plane does have to turn. If you turn left or right, that's a longer path.
Are you saying whenever they take off that they should take off and account for the Coriolis instead of flying directly there?
So Snooze, yes,
if you're on a globe,
they should predetermine all that. Let me ask Snooze a quick question. Snooze, all right, fuck it.
Go ahead, Dieslow. No, go ahead, I'm lagging.
You don't give up so easy, Dieslow. Come on, man.
I just did. I can only handle fucking so much, bro. And it's literally.
I get it.
It's just nonstop.
I'm all
toughen up, man. Toughen up.
Dieslow, go.
We'll listen to you. Nobody is going to interrupt. All right, Dieslow, the floor is yours.
All right. So, Snooze, do you agree that the shortest distance from A to B is a straight line?
Yes.
Okay, so if you agree with that principle, then what Jeremy's saying is accurate. The second they have to turn to adjust for Coriolis, they're no longer taking the straightest path. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why not?
Because, and that's what I wanted to say 5 minutes ago, that is a misconception. Like a plane that is adjusting for example, side winds or Coriolis and point their nose to somewhere else so that they stay on path, they are still taking the shortest path. So if you got side wind and you have to turn a little bit to the left so that you are still on your trajectory, you're still taking the shortest path. You're not necessarily. Wait a second. You're not necessarily taking the most fuel efficient part, because if you would know exactly which wind movements you would have in the way ahead of you, you could, for example, say we have a strong wind from the left, so let's just point left of the target so that the wind will bring us to the target. But that's not how it's working. They are just pointing the nose a little bit to the left, and they are moving kind of diagonal to the front right, but they are still on their shortest path to the target. And same with
complete
Coriolis.
non sequitur,
if the Coriolis is moving you a little bit to the right of your path, you're just moving your nose a little bit to the left to correct that sideward movement.
Complete non sequitur. Nobody's talking about crabbing. That's what you're invoking, is when you have a side wind, you kind of nose into the wind and you're still on the same tangent, right? But now you're accounting for that wind. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about if birds get in the way, if UFOs are getting in the way. Nobody's talking about any of that.
But
So all the things you're invoking are non sequitur.
But the same you would do with the Coriolis effect. The Coriolis effect is moving you a little bit to the right or to the left, depending on which direction you are flying. And therefore, you just point your nose a little bit to the opposite direction so that you stay on your shortest route to the target and on your flight course. that is assigned to you. They are not.
So you're not going
You'd
to
have to
address the
prove they
issue.
do that.
I mean,
Again,
you're invoking all these extra things to dance around the facts. The facts are, as you've already agreed, the shortest distance between A and B is a straight line. If you deviate from the straight line and you turn left or right, I don't care if it's from seagulls, mosquitoes, whatever your problem is, okay, you're not taking the shortest path anymore. And
Yes.
the paths they take are not accounting for where the target is going to be, rather where the target is. So you'll always be leading the target and accounting for Coriolis, not taking the straightest path. And this is what Jeremy's addressing.
Yeah, and I disagree with that. They are taking the shortest path, or they are taking the route that they have chosen, and they stay on their route. And if the Coriolis is moving them a little bit away from the route, they do countermeasures to stay on the route. Same with wind. It's not like flying a curve, it's flying a straight line, and any forces that try to deviate you from that line, you have to countermeasure against.
Wouldn't the
Yeah, but
Coriolis
nobody's
be
talking about
consistent
that.
though?
I
Wouldn't they
agree.
predict that?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like, if there's something in the way, you're going to have to go around it. I'm not even talking about all those little things.
Stop. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying something in the way that I go around. I'm saying if any force, wind or Coriolis, is moving you left or right from your path, you steer against that left or right movement. I'm not talking about flying around something.
Yeah, you're addressing the thing in contention, which is correcting for
Maintaining course.
Coriolis and addressing the issue being that you're now deviating off course due to the Coriolis effect. This is precisely what we're addressing. Now, if you were to take the shortest path, you wouldn't have to correct for Coriolis. All of that would have been accounted for previous to setting flight.
No, because wind cannot be 100% accounted for. They do, for example, to avoid strong wind zones, they fly not the direct path, or they take a different elevation due to strong winds, or. There are different routes chosen in avionic, and this route is tried to be maintained within a specific range.
But the wind is irrelevant. I agree that the wind will blow you off course. You have to account for that. That's not my gripe. So that's not what's in contention.
I know
so
that
I
this
don't
is
know
not
why you keep invoking it.
Because they are not accounting for Coriolis, because it's absolutely negligible regarding any wind that happens. So they are just maintaining their course and accounting for any side forces or so to stay on course.
Yeah, that's not true
Yeah,
at
but
all.
the shortest
So
path, real quick, Dieslow. The
right,
shortest path is if you have to turn left or right less. Right? If me and you were going to a spot, whoever turns left or right less is going to take the shortest path. In this example, if you adjusted for the Coriolis effect beforehand and you led the target and you flew where the target was going to be, you would have to turn less. Hence, you would have taken a shorter path. How do you not get this?
Well, he just wants to keep bringing up wind and fucking, all these variables that no one's talking about. Complete non sequiturs to the facts we're addressing here, Snooze. I don't see why you want to keep obfuscating away from the facts.
No, I do get your point, but the point is, if you account for Coriolis and you fly a different path, then it's not anymore the shorter. It may be more efficient because
Can you
you are
address what I
using the
just said,
energy,
though?
but it's not shorter. Shorter is a great
Can you
circle
address what I
or
just said, though, so
straight.
I don't have to say it again 7 more times?
It's fine. Let's move on. Let's switch the topic.
No, we're not
Shouldn't it
switching
be
the
a
topic.
baseline that they
So
always
you can't
incorporate?
address what I...
If the Earth's rotation is
abiogenesis
consistent,
on deck.
I was just wondering, like, if it was a baseline that's always consistent, like the Earth's rotation, like, wouldn't they just automatically incorporate it every time and then like further account for weather?
Yeah. Yes, Taylor, because you would have to turn less. If they did that, if they accounted for it and started flying out where the airport was going to be, they would have to turn less throughout the course of the path because they wouldn't have to adjust for Coriolis as much, if at all. Therefore, they would turn left, which means we both know that if me and you were going from A to B, and we're leaving from A and we're both going to B, if whoever turns left took the shortest path. That's just a fact. You know what I mean? If I go left, right, all crazy, I'm turning left, right, and you don't turn at all, you're gonna have taken the shortest path.
And I actually know what he's saying. Like, it's negligible, like compared to weather, and that's why they wouldn't account for it. But if it was a baseline that was always there, like we know the Earth's going to be rotating, that should be one less factor that we'd have to incorporate for while flying.
Yeah, nobody's arguing about winds and all this other non sequiturs. Like, we understand that we have that going on. We live in a dynamic system. You've got turbulence. You've got high-low pressure air pockets, which could cause the plane to drop hundreds of feet in mere seconds. Like, nobody's talking about any of these non sequiturs. We're simply pointing out the facts that the shortest route from A to B is a straight path. If you turn, you're no longer on the shortest path. Therefore, they're not flying the shortest path because they don't account for Coriolis. This is the part he wants to dance away from.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
So let me give my hypothetical scenario. We're on a globe. We're at the furthest point. We're at the South Pole, and we're going to fly to the North Pole. Not directly the North Pole. We're going to fly to, let's pick an area close to the North Pole.
The equator. How about the equator?
No, because what I'm trying to do is illustrate. I'm trying to highlight something
your Coriolis
specific
swaps. Your Coriolis effect swaps at the equator, though.
Yeah, well, which is why you wouldn't want to chase it one way. You wouldn't want to chase it one way and then flip at the equator and have to chase it the other way. That doesn't even make sense.
Do you agree with that, Left Lane, what he just said?
Well, probably not, but but the equator, I mean, that gives you a single factor to be concerned with and not worrying about deviating right and then deviating left. That would complicate it.
Well, I'm just saying that the Coriolis effect is heightened when you're going from north to south versus east to west. So if we're flying from the South Pole to, I don't know, let's just say Greenland, right? Are you gonna lead the target, or are you gonna chase the target to make the most efficient route? Because this is where Coriolis effect is going to be dramatized in the sense that there's going to be a greater. It's not going to be so negligible as Snooze wanted to put it. It's going to be dramatically different.
Here's what I would do. I would plot a great circle path between the 2 points, and I would fly it, accommodating any forces that acted upon me on the way to maintain that path.
Yeah, so you would take a longer path than you have to.
Yeah, Jeremy,
you're
up
roboting.
But I think what Jeremy's trying to say, that's going to be the target. No, you're robot, Jeremy. Jeremy's trying to tell you that great circle route's going to be a longer,
have to turn as much.
path.
We all know if you turn less.
Jeremy, it sounds like you came in towards the end. You're going to have to repeat everything.
Yeah, they think. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, they think that the shortest path on a sphere is a great circle route, and that actually is correct. That is correct. The shortest path on a sphere is a great circle route. However, once you introduce Coriolis, tracing that path out on the ground it's still a great circle route, but it's in a different frame. It's in the inertial frame. It's in the one where the pilot doesn't have to turn. If the pilot doesn't have to turn, that traces a curved left or right path on the ground, but it traces a great circle route in the inertial frame where the plane is, the frame that actually matters, the guy who's actually going to have to turn left or right.
Is nobody talking or something? Or?
No.
I don't know. Did you hear what he said though, Left Wing?
I heard it.
Do you agree with that?
I was on the phone with my dispatch.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I've never agreed with that whole concept, because what's a shorter distance, the diameter of a circle or traveling around the circumference of a circle?
The shortest
So I
distance
don't care
for
that you
sure.
call it. I don't think you can call it the great circle route being shorter. Putting a great in front of it doesn't make it shorter. The
Oh, it
diameter of
does.
a circle
It does,
is
because a
always shorter
small
than the
circle on a
circumference
ball,
of a circle.
because a small circle on a ball is causing you to fly a curve, while a great circle on the ball is causing you to fly straight.
It's all hypothetical. There is
Nope,
no
it's
ball,
absolutely
and
practical.
flying in some hypothetical circular route on some hypothetical ball, it's retarded. Planes fly in straight lines.
Yeah, but
And
you are
therefore,
arguing
the
you are
diameter
arguing that
would
great
be the shortest
circles are
distance
not
always.
shorter distance compared to small circles, and that is just geometry. That
Not
has nothing to do with the shape
circle.
of the Earth.
Perhaps you're not listening. I'm saying a straight line, as in a diameter or a vector from point A to point B. You're invoking a circular route to try and fit on your hypothetical spherical model, and then invoking that flying in a circle is shorter than a straight line, which it
So,
never is.
so you propose we fly through the theoretical globe, or what?
It's all theoretical. There is no globe.
Yeah.
You're
It
flying
would
at a set
still
altitude
theoretical not be
above a flat
possible.
plane, and then you're flying from point A to point B in a straight line at the set altitude above a plane. That's all you're doing. So you can try and invoke that you're flying in a circle and that circle is a shorter distance than a diameter. It never is. And anyone who argues that flying the circumference of a circle is shorter than a diameter is lacking some brain cells. So I appreciate Jeremy's explanation when he was sort of explaining the great circle route being a short distance, but I disagree in theory.
So I'm going to post an image in the chat. If you see there, it's 58 minutes after the hour. So this is a merry-go-round. That circle represents a platform of a merry-go-round. It's a orthographic view looking down. You've got this thing rotating.
It's also equivalent to the North Pole to the equator.
Right.
It's the same thing. You just disregard the up and down
right. It's
curve.
just, yeah, that's just showing the Coriolis effect, or the rotation of the platform, the merry-go-round, going clockwise. All right. You're at the center of that circle, at that dot. The red line represents you flying to where that dot is going to be, close to the edge of that circle up at the top, meeting the target, the straight path, the shortest path, no turning, meeting the target. The blue curved line up above, going from the center of the circle to that dot, is the path that the airplanes are taking, meaning they're chasing the target that's continuously moving on a rotating platform or a rotating surface of your ball Earth due to Coriolis. That's going to be the longer path. Instead of meeting the target where the target's going to be and never turning, that's not what they're doing. They're turning to account for where the target's going to be. It's that simple, guys. I mean, this is not hard. So that blue line is what the planes are flying. They're not flying the shortest route. They're flying. There's actually 3 routes you could take. I think they're flying the lesser, like the middle route, which would be in between the furthest route or the longest route and the shortest route. Right, Jeremy?
They could either lead the target or chase it the whole time. In one instance, they physically have to turn the plane. In another instance, they don't have to physically turn the plane for this force. Obviously, you'd want to fly to where you have to turn less. So,
but again, you're completely ignoring the air.
It's not relevant. There is the Coriolis effect here, and the frames are still the same. That
so
diagram, hold on, man. That diagram that Dieslow is showing right now, it directly translates, other than the vertical component, that directly translates North Pole to equator. It's no different. Just because the air is rotating, that is still the Coriolis effect. It's literally no different.
Okay, so what actually is acting on that airplane is conservation of angular momentum. So you're flying from a point where you have an angular velocity, and you're flying in the theoretical model to the North Pole that has no angular velocity anymore. So you will fly north. So due to the conservation of your angular velocity, you will be deviated towards east, towards the direction of the plane, because you're reducing the radius towards the center point. But that
You mean
means
hypothetical angular velocity, correct? Hypothetical.
That means you are kind of moved to your right side if you're heading north. But that movement.
Did you say this was conservation of angular momentum? What did you say this was?
Yes, that's what he says. Conservation of angular momentum, angular velocity. He went from angular momentum to angular velocity.
It's the same.
So hypothetical.
And you're trying to make it too complicated than it needs to be. Dieslow's little diagram perfectly shows what's going on if you were to fly from the North Pole to the equator.
Yeah, if you
it's not different. It's not different. I know you keep saying, "Oh, but the air is moving." It doesn't matter. It's still the Coriolis effect. Same thing.
So if you just interrupt and let me not explain to the end, of course, that may be. The thing that I want to explain is when you move towards the center of that rotational object, you will have same momentum in the turning direction, but you have a reduced radius, so you will be deviated to the right. But that motion to the right will be directly counter-affected or directly be eliminated by the airplane moving towards the air. So you're moving towards a stationary air, and that is directly breaking your velocity to the side.
Let me ask you something, Snooze. How much angular velocity do you think is on the plane after it takes off?
Let's say we are at the equator, then it would be 1,000 miles per hour.
Hypothetically.
1,000 miles per hour.
Well, yeah, because you say you
Well,
always claim that the Earth is rotating at the equator
Okay,
with a velocity of 1,000 miles. So if you
hold
are
on a second, bro.
starting, wait, no, now you can also hear me out. If you're starting straight north from the equator, you will have an angular velocity of 1,000 miles an hour due east. And this velocity you have to come to zero when you reach the North Pole. Now you can
Okay,
calculate that this is 10,000 kilometers from the equator to the North Pole. Over 10,000 kilometers, you then can reduce 1,000 miles per hour. That means every 10 kilometer, you reduce your angular velocity by 1 mile, and that would be on a cone. But we are on a globe, so you have more time to reduce your angular velocity at the beginning, and you will have a little bit harder time in the end. But it's still negligible.
okay. So you're on a plane. We're flying east now on this plane at the equator, and you're saying that the Earth's rotation
With which
is
speed are we
putting
flying east? Which speed do we?
700 miles per hour.
Okay.
So, by your understanding, the plane would be flying backwards.
You said you
by
fly east.
300 miles per hour.
No, east. You said you are flying east.
We're
Right?
at the equator. We're at the equator. We're flying east.
Yes.
We leave. You've got 1,000 miles per hour of rotation at the equator.
Due
The
east.
plane's only. Yep. The plane is only going 700 miles per hour.
Yeah, relative to the Earth.
Right.
So you are flying
now,
1,700 miles angular velocity due east.
I think you got it backwards. The Earth's said to be traveling east to west. So if you're traveling east, you're moving against the rotation, so therefore it's cumulative.
What? No.
So if you,
the Earth is traveling east. That's why the sun is going up
real quick.
east.
Hey, Solar, it's west to east, actually.
Oh boy. This is really like
they say it's west to east.
You are claiming you are understanding the model so well.
But he just got that one thing mixed up.
He
just got that one thing mixed up. It's west to east according to the globe model. That would be 1,000 miles eastward. So you'd be adding. So if you go westward, then
700 miles an hour east, you have a together velocity of 1,700 miles due east.
Okay, so what if we're going west now?
No, then Dieslow was
now we're
right.
only flying 300 miles per hour.
If you go 700 miles per hour west and the Earth is rotating 1,000 miles per hour east, yes, the plane from the outside reference frame of the Earth would fly 300 miles per hour backwards.
It's better if you go with a plane going 300 miles an hour, and then it'd be going 700 miles per hour. Kinematically, just mathematically, they have to say it that way, right? So 700 miles per hour backwards if you're going 300 miles per hour eastward, right?
All right,
because
bro.
you have
Stop 2xing me when I talk. Dave, why are you always 2xing me when I talk, bro?
I don't think anyone else can hear you. I think that you were talking and no one can hear you, Jeremy. You must be lagging.
No, on the YouTube. On the YouTube. Anyways, go ahead. I'll talk to you later about it.
Sometimes I fast forward for parts that trying to get to the part that I know is coming up or something, but you're on there a lot without 2x, bro.
But then Dieslow's point still stands. His original question was, you think an airplane flies backwards at 300 miles per hour? You argued and said, no, it was 1,700 miles per hour eastward. And then after clarity agreed that it was 300 miles backwards. In other words, the target is moving away from the airplane at 300 miles per hour, and the airplane cannot exceed the 1,000 mile per hour ground speed to actually catch up with that eastward target. So eventually that target would lap the airplane in sufficient time because the airplane could not achieve the ground speed of the 1,000 mile per hour if the airplane was only traveling at 300 miles per hour.
Oh God. If
Yeah,
I would
especially if they have to
explain
slow
to my
down and land in
7-year-old,
the
he would
opposite
get it.
direction, and they still have to be moving backwards at 1,000 miles an hour when they're landing.
So Dieslow's
Correct.
first claim
Because we
was
know that's
going
how airplanes are
eastward.
designed.
Dieslow's first
Yes.
claim was going eastward 700 miles, and then he came to 300 miles backwards, which is nonsense. So if you fly
No,
east
you
and the
agreed with
Earth
that.
is also
You
moving
agreed with
east, your speed is adding up. Your angular speed is adding up. If you fly
No, it's
west,
negating.
if you fly
If you're
west
flying
700
west, it's
and the
adding
Earth
up.
is going 1000 east, you are actually going 300 miles an hour east
No, the other
in
way
the
around.
direction of the back of the plane.
You just agreed with this, and this is logical. If the airplane is
No,
traveling at
Jeremy had the
700
direction.
miles
No, Dieslow had the directions
westward,
wrong. You did not listen.
no, you just said it wrong. Listen to what you just said. Dieslow's example was traveling eastward, and the Earth is spinning toward the east, and the Earth is outrunning or moving at a faster speed than the
No.
airplane eastward. When the airplane flies westward against the spin of the Earth, because the Earth is traveling from west to east, it means that the ground target is moving toward the airplane at 1,000 miles per hour. But because the airplane is traveling westward, it is also traveling toward the ground target at 700 miles per hour. So when you add up the 1,000 and the 700, you get 1,700 if the airplane is traveling westward. You agreed with this 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. This is the logical way. No one's trying to trick you.
The
If you're
airplane
on
is
a highway
always
and you're traveling towards a car,
Can you say
if you're on a
over when
highway,
you're done?
are you still going to continue to argue the point you just agreed with 5 minutes ago, which is the logical argument that if you're traveling towards an object that's also traveling towards you, the speed is added together or cumulative? Are you going to argue that point?
Can you say over when you're done?
I think he's done.
Okay, good. The airplane is always moving relative to the surface of the Earth. If the airplane is moving relative to the Earth's surface of the Earth due east 700, and the surface of the Earth is also traveling due east with 1000, those two speeds add up to 1700 due east. Now you also wait until I'm done. It's the same if you are walking towards the tip of a traveling train. Your walking speed and the speed of the train is adding up to the absolute speed of you traveling relative to the Earth faster than the train. If you're moving,
that's a false
to the back
analogy
of
because you're inside the train.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that is true.
It's
That is
kindergarten
true.
stuff.
Well, no,
So
I mean,
if there's two cars on a highway, and one's traveling at 80 miles an hour and the other car is traveling at 100 miles per hour, you're telling us they're both going in the same direction. They're both traveling at 180 miles per hour because you've got to add the two speeds together. So the airplane's traveling at 700 miles and the ground's moving at 1,000, and you want to add them together because they're both traveling in the same direction.
Hey, just real quick, you guys have been on this for a good minute, so I know they wanted to talk about the abiogenesis. Jace just mentioned something in text chat.
Yes,
so.
please. Yes. Let's go.
Yeah, that'd be great. Real quick, on the last
here.
point, real quick. I just want to make one sentence before that last topic gets finished. When we say, okay, so planes do travel the shortest path, but the only way for them to travel the shortest path is because the Earth is stationary. If the Earth were rotating, then yes, they would have to chase the target and there'd be all those complications and everything else. Forget the Coriolis effect. That's just an illusion from the outside reference frame. Forget about the Coriolis in general. If they had to chase the target, they would be traveling a lot longer path and there'd be all these complications. But there aren't because the Earth is stationary. They do travel point to point straight there, and that only works if it's stationary. So when we argue it saying, yeah, they always have to chase the target. No, they don't because the Earth is stationary. That's the end of it.
Okay, incorrect. Go ahead with the abiogenesis.
Yeah, just incorrect. That's really a good input, but that's fine. Yeah, just incorrect because
Yep,
you fly.
incorrect.
You
Go
think the
ahead.
air
Go ahead,
solves
Gio.
it for you kinematically. Go ahead.
Booked a flight today, Heathrow to JFK. Headed west-southwest, cause there ain't no better way. Gonna find that old Coriolis, they say she's hidden in the winds. But that just can't be if we rotate east, tangential gradient. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis must be hidden in the winds. But the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And we never could land safely with that tangential gradient. And we all know every pilot treats the Earth as motionless. So to think it must be moving is just insane, you must confess. But please don't get offended if this song makes too much sense. Just thank God that landing's easy with no tangential gradient in the winds. They said she'd just be hidden in the winds. But the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And we never could land safely with that tangential gradient. So here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, cause we ain't on no damn globe. So here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, cause we ain't on no damn globe. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis just ain't hidden in these winds. And the Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we go. So thank God we won't be crashing when those wheels hit down below. Hidden in the winds, there ain't no Coriolis hidden in the winds. And thank God it's stationary, or we never safely land on a surface that is moving with a tangential gradient. Yes, here's a lesson for who's listening. It's dynamics that are true. No kinematic concept could ever substitute. So the next time you are flying, no matter where you go, don't worry about rotation, cause we ain't on no damn globe. Hidden in the winds, Coriolis just ain't hidden in these winds. And their Earth ain't moving faster with the further south we've been. And thank God we won't be crashing when we touch down at the end. And thank the Lord, Earth is stationary, or we never safely land on a surface that is moving. There's no tangential